In the heart of the Middle East, a region synonymous with conflict, two powerful nations have stood at odds for decades, Israel and Iran. The deep-rooted tensions between them are not just about politics. They represent a battle of ideologies, military power, and influence over an entire region. This conflict is felt far beyond their borders, with neighboring countries like Lebanon becoming battlegrounds for their proxy wars. But something happened recently that sent shockwaves through the region, a major assassination. Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, a militant group based in Lebanon and backed by Iran, was reportedly taken out in a covert operation. The ripple effects of this event have the potential to plunge the region into deeper chaos. Before we dive into the specifics of Nasrallah's assassination, we must first understand the complex dynamics that brought Israel and Iran to the brink of war, and how Lebanon became a key player in their feud. Before starting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that we can continue publishing content. The tension between Israel and Iran didn't happen overnight. It's been building for decades, and at the core of this rivalry are stark ideological differences. Israel is the only Jewish state in the Middle East, while Iran is an Islamic republic with a government that holds anti-Israel sentiments deeply rooted in its policies. From the Iranian Revolution in 1979, Israel became one of the regime's key adversaries, and this hostility has only grown over time. Iran's support for groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, both of which oppose Israel's existence, has been a significant factor fueling this conflict. For Israel, Iran's growing influence in the region is seen as a major threat. In particular, Israel is concerned about Iran's nuclear program. Iran has repeatedly stated that its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, but Israel and many in the international community believe that Tehran is seeking the capability to build nuclear weapons. This is unacceptable to Israel, which has consistently said that it will not allow Iran to develop nuclear arms, even if it means taking military action. The conflict between the two nations has played out in various ways. There have been cyber attacks such as the Stuxnet virus, which targeted Iran's nuclear facilities, and covert operations. Israel has also been striking Iranian military assets in Syria, where Iranian forces and their proxies have established a presence since the Syrian civil war began. Both nations have waged a kind of shadow war for years, each trying to weaken the other without launching a full-scale conflict. Lebanon, a small country on the Mediterranean Sea, has long been caught in the crossfire of the Israel-Iran rivalry. Much of this is due to the presence of Hezbollah, a powerful Shia militia and political organization backed by Iran. Founded in the 1980s with the help of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, Hezbollah's original mission was to resist Israel's occupation of southern Lebanon. Over the years, the group has grown into a formidable military force, with thousands of fighters and a vast arsenal of rockets and missiles. Hezbollah has long been Israel's most significant non-state adversary. The two clashed in a brutal war in 2006, which ended in a stalemate, with both sides claiming victory. Since then, Hezbollah has amassed even more military power, thanks to continued support from Iran. But Hezbollah is not just a militia. It has become a dominant force in Lebanese politics, holding seats in the government and exerting significant influence over national policies. For Iran, Hezbollah represents a crucial piece of its regional strategy. Through Hezbollah, Iran has a foothold on Israel's northern border, and it can use the group to pressure Israel whenever it sees fit. This has made Lebanon a key battleground in the broader Israel-Iran conflict, with Hezbollah frequently launching attacks on Israel and Israel responding with airstrikes in Lebanon. And then came the news that sent ripples across the Middle East. Hassan Nasrallah, Hezbollah's charismatic and controversial leader, had been assassinated. Nasrallah had been at the helm of Hezbollah for decades, steering the group through wars, political crises, and growing regional power. His speeches, broadcast from secret locations, were listened to by millions in Lebanon and across the Arab world. He was both a revered figure and a hated enemy, depending on which side of the conflict you stood. Nasrallah's assassination represents a turning point. He had been a target of Israeli intelligence for years, and his removal from the scene has raised questions about what comes next. How will Hezbollah react? Will the group seek immediate revenge, launching an all-out assault on Israel? And what of Iran? Will it use Nasrallah's death as a rallying point to further escalate tensions with Israel? The vacuum left by Nasrallah's death could lead to internal struggles within Hezbollah. Who will succeed him? Can the group remain as cohesive and powerful without his leadership? There are fears that without Nasrallah's strong hand, Hezbollah could splinter, with different factions pulling the group in different directions. This could destabilize Lebanon even further, a country already grappling with severe economic, political, and social crises. Lebanon has been in crisis for years. The economy has collapsed, the currency has lost most of its value, and public services are on the brink of failure. The devastating explosion in the port of Beirut in 2020, which killed hundreds and destroyed large parts of the city, was a turning point, pushing the country further into despair. Corruption, mismanagement, and sectarian divisions have paralyzed the government, leaving Lebanon without effective leadership when it needs it most. In this fragile state, the assassination of Nasrallah could be the final straw. Hezbollah, despite its power, is part of Lebanon's delicate political fabric. If the group retaliates against Israel, it could drag the entire country into a devastating war. Israel, always on high alert, would likely respond with overwhelming force, and the Lebanese people, already suffering, would bear the brunt of the conflict. The assassination of Hassan Nasrallah is just one chapter in the larger story of Israel and Iran's rivalry. Both nations are engaged in a broader struggle for influence in the Middle East. Iran, with its backing of militias in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, is trying to expand its power and create a Shia crescent that stretches from Tehran to the Mediterranean. Israel, with its military might and close ties to the United States, is working to counter this influence at every turn. The situation remains tense. Any misstep could lead to a wider war that would draw in other regional powers like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. The United States and Russia, both with vested interests in the region, could also become more involved, further complicating an already dangerous situation. For now, the world watches and waits. The assassination of Nasrallah has created a moment of uncertainty. Will this lead to more violence, or will cooler heads prevail? Will Iran and Israel finally face off directly, or will their proxy wars continue to define the conflict? One thing is certain, the Middle East remains as volatile as ever, and the stakes have never been higher.